Welcome to the Powerful Podcast, where you will learn the marketing, strategies, and beliefs to grow your dream business. Totally possible, and I'm so excited to share this with you. I'm Almira Bardai, and I grew and scaled my own business from zero to multi-millions and sold the business. And now I'm here to teach you exactly how to grow and scale your business from 6 to 7 figures and more with ease, simplicity, joy, and fun with, of course, strategy, mindset, and marketing to take you to that next level. Welcome back to the Powerful Podcast with me, your host, Almira Bardai. This one is another one of the most special episodes and special guests, Kelly Brock. She's one of my own coaches, and she runs the most extraordinary communities. And we're going to talk about Kelly's story and how she got there. So make sure that you're tuning in for all of it. And you're going to learn about this high-powered, powerful corporate woman who's honestly just right now so in her own season, so in her own dreams. But she's led transformations for thousands of women, ran retreats on private islands, and has 3 kids, is in her dream relationship, dream family. But Kelly and I are going to talk about the power of being a peaceful performer, which we'll get into, but really about creating your own story and destiny. So here's Kelly. There's nothing wrong with working to achieve at the highest level unless it comes at the expense of your health and harmony. On the surface, Kelly had it all. She had been running a successful network marketing business for more than a decade and was highly respected in the field. But on the inside, she was struggling. She had become so addicted to achievement that she was neglecting her relationships and her health. And that's when her body forced her to stop. That's when Kelly made it her mission to find a way for female entrepreneurs to have the life of their dreams and it not have to come at the expense of their peace or purpose. Kelly decided to give herself over completely to finding the solution for herself, and anyone would follow. Over the next 4 years, her company made over $2 million, but more importantly, what had worked for her was working for others too. And the community are a testament to this. Even today, as she shifts her definition of success to include her 3rd child, homeschooling, and philanthropy, she is both a leader and a work in progress. Kelly's coaching company is Kelly Brock Co., specializes in helping female entrepreneurs to have sustainable success. From self-leadership and intuition development to branding and sales, Kelly coaches women to define the life they desire and equips them with the tools they need to make their reality. I love that so much. Let's dive right in. Kelly, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited. You're such a leader. You are such a leader. And as so many of us have always said, you went first. And so why don't we just go straight into it? Your story, how it all happened, the magic, peaceful performer, the habits and peace habits. And I mean, the whole thing, just because everybody's like, okay, Almira, what the hell are you talking about at this point? So I'm going to shut up. Kelly, share your wisdom and your leadership.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm so excited to be here. And, for me, I find that most women have this innate desire. We want to maximize our potential in life. We want to live purposefully. We want and desire to be able to have it all, meaning, our family and our success, and to feel like we have, actualized all of the potential that's inside of us. And I was no different. And I ended up at 22 years old. I started a network marketing business that literally when I started, they said, this opportunity is equal to your ambition. And I thought, oh, good, I'm ambitious. Great. I'm teachable, I'm coachable. Show me how to succeed. And for the next 10 years, I ended up building a massive business. I was a top sales director with my company. I was going on top trips with the company. I was on a billboard in Times Square twice, like representing my company. So I found myself going, oh my gosh, I'm doing it. I have it all. And it wasn't until I had my 2nd child, my son, which was about 8 years into that business, that I developed anxiety and depression. Now, I was not someone who ever resonated with those words. Even at that time, I was dealing with kind of some postpartum stuff. And I was going to all these doctors and I was like, hey, I'm like having trouble breathing. And I'm like having to sit up just to get my lungs to expand. And I'm feeling like really overwhelmed with like sound and stimulation. And I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. And I like lost my vision while I was driving the other day. Like all these symptoms started showing up in me. I was like, I think I have some virus. And I went to 5 different doctors and they all said, sounds like anxiety and depression.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, actually very annoyed
Hmm.
because I was like, no, why? I have no capital T trauma. I'm married to the love of my life. I just had my second baby. I love my career. I'm free to make my own choices. I'm doing work that excites me. And I could not see on the surface what was the problem. Why was I so sick? Why was I so apparently unhappy when I couldn't see it? I literally couldn't. And the doctors all recommended antidepressants and medicine, and I'm not against them, but something in my intuition, something in my gut was like, I wasn't always this way. And so if this manifested on me, maybe I can get it off me. Something in me, Almira, was like, wanted to understand where it came from. And I was like, give me time. I remember Josh actually going to the doctor's office with me and he was like, please just take the pills, Kelly. We miss you. You're not well. You're falling apart. Your body's burning down. And I was like, give me a couple months. I want to just try to find this. And I went into deep prayer and deep research. And I started looking into self-help and looking for self-awareness exercise, anything that could help me understand what was happening inside of me. And what that led me to was the realization after a couple of months of realizing, oh, I'm not happy here anymore.
Mm.
Sometimes we can be just as powerfully called to something as we can be called away from something. And I didn't realize a dream could end. And I didn't realize that dream had really expired and me staying, I was white knuckling something that had met its expiration date in my life. And because of that, I was not allowing the next version of me to evolve. And so once I really came to grips, I was like, well, if it's not this, then what do I want? And I had not asked myself that ever, ever. Now I remember writing down in my journal, if I could want anything, what would I ask life for? And I was like, I don't even know what I want. I joke around that I was like, Julia Roberts from Runaway Bride, where I was like, I don't even know how I like my eggs because whoever I was around, I liked my eggs like them.
Yep.
Like, how do you guys like the eggs? What are the best eggs that make us healthy and happy? And I was always outsourcing my best next step to whoever had already found the answer. And what I realized was I don't even like eggs. I had to start learning how to ask myself questions. So what that led me to was I started actually talking out loud about this on Facebook at the time. I started talking about these questions I was asking myself and these things I was finding out about myself. And all these women were coming into my DM saying, me too.
Yeah.
I'm not happy too. I'm not happy in this marriage. I'm not happy in this business. I'm not happy here. What do I do about it? Because we cling to our success path. I thought this was supposed to be the thing. I've got the degree. I got this job. I'm supposed to be here. If it's not here, what do I do? And I realized I wanted nothing more than to help other women find the opening that I was kind of finding, that fulfillment of like, who am I? What do I really want? And I ended up walking away from that network marketing business so that I could give myself over to this next version of myself. And I started my own coaching firm, started my own program called Peaceful Performer, which was teaching women how to align their life to their definition of peace, their definition of priorities, their definition of success. And then we put the vehicle around it because I was watching so many women burn out with ambition because they were always saying, when I blank, then I can. When I make this certain amount of money, when this launch ends, when I get through this deadline, when I whatever, then I can be present, then I can rest, then I can vacation. And I bet the women who are listening to me right now are going, oh, shoot, I say that all the time. We we have it backwards. We think when we get a certain amount of money that it's somehow going to allow us to relax.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to posture a new possibility, which is it is only when you're actually in your own alignment
Mm-hmm.
that the money can flow to you and that you will actually be the version of yourself that you want to be.
Yes.
And so I started teaching this kind of way of being, this way of restructuring your life and wealth
Mm-hmm.
in business. And it took off. It took off for women. They were feeling proud of themselves and aligned in their lives. And it has just led to the last 5 years of business, which has, been its own journey.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really what I'm most excited about, which is helping women to sense that inner intuition, their inner definition of success, and live by that and watch everything else fall into place. So that's kind of the background story.
Oh my gosh. And it's funny. I'm never at a loss for words. This one, I'm trying to find the right words. Witnessing you, I think that's what it is. And especially like there are a number of women who followed you on Instagram before and were part of the network marketing community, and they saw you go first. And they're now amazing women who are part of your community. And again, going back to it, they said that you did it first and you led the way. And whatever you were doing, they wanted it too, but there was a craving, there was a yearning, an aching for whatever it was that you were doing in your life. And the peace that you had and the fulfillment that you had. And all of a sudden, you lighted a path. I think that was it. It was like that prophet who led with light. And all of a sudden, it started to wake women up to hold on a second. What is that other thing? And I don't even have the words to describe that other thing, but there's such intentionality. There is such peace, alignment when that all happens that women just flocked to you. And the women that you have in your community, the safety, the vulnerability of what you have and what you provide and how we all support each other and how you guide, it's absolutely extraordinary. One, to witness, two, to be a part of it. And it's just, there's a movement of us, the conscious leaders, the peaceful performers. And I know particularly when I first joined Conscious Leader, which was, oh my gosh, 2 years ago now. And actually it was 2 years ago was it 2 years ago or 3 years ago at this time? I actually think we're still in 2024. My own coach was like, I think you need to update your website. Why do you like women in their dreams is 2024? And she's like, no, it's 2025. Anyways, but it was this conscious creation, as exactly how you named everything. And it started this movement, this path is just, we started to open up and see the world and to create our own lives and watch the world, our own worlds transform around us. And it was powerful. It still is. It absolutely still is.
Yeah.
What is the biggest, I would say, takeaway that women have? Actually, no, let me rephrase that. What's the biggest takeaway, if you will, about what you've learned in going down this path? And what do you think that other women are, to be like fairly general, taking away? What is that magic? What for you, and what is that magic for them? Does that make sense?
I think so. What I'll say is I'm kind of a trend watcher, and I'm someone who sees a lot of patterns in people. And I see a lot of women outsourcing their dreams by a couple different approaches.
Yeah.
One is they hustle for it. They believe that if I just work hard enough, if I'm just the most visible, if I do all the things, then I can finally be happy, right? Then I see other people chasing trends where they look outside of themselves and they go, well, what is everybody else saying is the way to go? And instead of ever accessing their inner knowing, they're looking at other guides and gurus, right? And saying, what's your definition of success? What's the best way? I'll do it. And then there's this third version of women who they listen to everything. They consume, they take in the information, they download the podcast, they get the freebies, they buy the courses, they do all the things, but they never actually take action. They're like always getting ready to live their dreams.
Yes.
And what I've realized is those three ways will always almost get you to your dreams, but never get you there all the way. And I'm a Capricorn. So I'm actually really grounded. And as I'm also a mystic. So I'm like kind of flighty and high. I'm interested in the big ideas of life, but I'm actually interested in how do I make this my life right now? Reality. I want to touch it. I don't want to just think about manifesting the relationship of my dreams. I want to be the woman who feels him, who touches it, who experiences it. And what I realized was we have to first be absolutely clear about the life that we want. We have to first ask ourselves the questions. It is my life.
Yeah.
A lot of people, again, we look outside of ourselves for answers. And I always say, if they're not carrying the weight of your world, they don't get to say how to carry it.
Yep.
If someone else is not carrying the weight of your world, they cannot tell you how to carry it. It's yours.
Yeah.
Right? Almira, your mother, you have a distinct knowing of how you want to relate to your son. You have dreams and ambitions and visions of the memories you'll create together. That's your definition of success. And so I always start with each woman saying, what is my definition? If I get to the end of my life, what is my definition of a successful life? And you write that out. At the end of my life, if I was to show up at the end of my life, I hope that this was true about me. You've got to backtrack this and to say, this is the person I want to be. And then you have to figure out, how do I start showing up as her now?
Yes.
One of the things that I saw when I first started this journey, I want to tell a quick story. I had hand-me-down couches from my mom, like green floor couches. They were so comfy and so ugly. And I remember dreaming one day, this best version of me, she's going to invite people into her home. She's going to host people at her house. She's going to have such a gorgeous space that people just want to be in her space. And I always kept thinking in my head, well, I have to wait till I'm rid of these ugly couches. I have to wait till I'm rid of these. This is embarrassing. Like, I don't want these couches. And then when I did this exercise for myself, I said, well, if I want to be the kind of woman who gathers women in her home, if I want my children to see what it's like to be around big thinkers, big conversations, and it to be in their space, I have to open this door and they have to sit on these couches now. That's the biggest distinction. Whoever we want to be, it's not tomorrow that we have to be her. We have to rep her out now. So we first have to become conscious of that version we want to be. We second have to say, today, these circumstances, this scenario, this relationship, this whatever, I have to be her now. Another example of this was in my marriage. I dreamed of this incredible marriage that we would be these, be in a spiritual partnership, to be massively obsessed with each other, to love one another, support one another. And that's in the future, right? I see that couple and they're like amazing. And then I was waking up to my reality being like, this dude annoys me. And I love him, but we have these patterns of like arguing in this way. And I didn't want to show up as that woman, but I had to choose to be her today. Patient, loving, kind. I had an affirmation I would say every day. I'm an intentional and exceptional wife. I said it every single morning. And so I had to choose. My husband left this damn frying pan in the sink with his crusted eggs on it, soaking in water. And I worked from home and he'd go to work. And all day long, I would just flame over this pan. I'd be like, why does he not love me enough to put this pan away? You wash it when it's warm. Just wash it, put it away. But when I started affirming the woman I want to be in the future, I had to choose today. And I had to choose this woman, that woman I want to be. She doesn't just wash her husband's pan. She actually is loving about it.
Yes.
She does it with love and gratitude that she has this amazing man that she can take care of. And so I had to learn to even be in the energy of that woman today.
Yeah.
So I started washing his pan and choosing to be in gratitude. These are such small little reps and examples. but they're the second step of this. You first have to get clear on what you want. The second is you have to be that person today, right? And we have to then allow that to happen over and over and over again. And that's how I really saw life changing as far as habits and choices. If you can start being now, today, the woman you want to be, and stop waiting for the tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Like even right now, I'm choosing to homeschool my kids. That's a vision of my future I had. I did not feel equipped.
Yeah.
Let me just like slow down my ultra successful business and I'm just going to decide to homeschool and pivot everything. But it was like, but that is the woman I want to be. I want that level of presence and intention in guiding and teaching my children. So I had to choose. It's now.
Mm-hmm.
Even with all the limiting beliefs that show up, I have to start trying and repping her out now. So if I could give a takeaway, it's getting clear on what that is and doing your best to rep that version out now.
Oh my God, that's so great that you went there because I want to talk about repping it out
Yeah.
and what that actually does. And then also about you wrote your dreams and they became true. And you and Josh went to Croatia.
Yes.
And then also Josh changed. And I think that's also one of the things that attracted everybody to you is it's that post. And I still remember it. What did I do to change my husband? I stopped trying. And I think we're also, especially women, because we can do anything. We can multitask. We can do all of these amazing things. And so it's a very fixer mentality, which is actually something that we were talking about in our community last week, fixer and people pleaser and all that. And so it feels like we have to fix, or now that we are in an environment where women are rising and the feminine is rising, and I have to stand up for myself, or maybe it's this different way of being feminist, and I've got to stand up and I've got to say what you want. But then all of a sudden, you just align with what you want and it happens. And I think that piece is mind blowing, but also it's such a different way of actually being. You're not fixing things, or you're not having to go and almost fight for it. It's not the right term, but I can't think of the right word, but it's like you're going from fighting for everything that you want and fighting to be heard to all of a sudden it happens and you're like, what the fuck? Like, and it does. So dive into that, the repping, the scripting, the Josh, because I think it's unreal when you just kind of sit back and allow it to happen, that it actually does. And ladies, all true. And ladies and gentlemen as well listening to this. This is just so sweet.
So this was the story of Josh and I. We are opposites attract, right? I'm someone who loves personal growth and I'm ambitious and I'm an entrepreneur and I'm very approachable. And Josh is covered in tattoos up to his neck and his head. And he was just like, personal development is bullshit. And like, he would always see like quotes on walls. If you believe it, you can do it. And I'm like, do you know what I do for a living? That is literally what I say to people. I say this. So I remember at the beginning of this conversation, I said, so many women are saying, if this would change, then I can be happy. Josh was my fill in the blank.
Yeah.
If Josh would just support me more, if Josh would just want this more, if Josh would just be entrepreneurial, if Josh would just be more excited for me, then I could live this dream life that I knew I wanted. And what I learned was, let me zoom out for a second. We all came to Earth to be in a classroom, to grow. One of our biggest jobs is to take personal responsibility for our lives. And when I realized I had a victim mentality around Josh, I kept waiting for him to change so I can get the life I want. I kept being like, I have to be the ambitious one. I have to do all these things because he'll never do it. Yep. That's one of the reasons I worked so hard, because I thought he's never going to get us a free trip to Hawaii.
Yep.
I got to do it, right?
Yep.
When I stopped and paused and realized, oh, shoot, what if he never changes? Then I'm just going to keep, number one, waiting. Number two, I'm not only going to wait, I'm going to be passive aggressively angry with him the rest of our relationship because he's not enough. There's going to be tension in our home. I just finally released the grips on him. And I said, I'm done trying to change him.
Yeah.
And there was a huge shift in the energy of our house because all of a sudden I took not from a place of, again, bitterness.
Mm-hmm.
I just stopped waiting on him to save me,
Yeah.
waiting on him to change, waiting on him. And I just thought, if I want to be peaceful, I've got to pick it. If I want this level of success, I'm going to do it. If I want to do these things, it's through me. And I've got to stop waiting. And what I moved from, there's these levels of consciousness. I moved from what's called victim mindset, victim mentality consciousness into personal empowerment. And the minute I move into personal empowerment, you actually start energetically radiating this new level of being because you go, okay, it's by me, it's through me, I can do this. And I started to get very clear. And every single morning, so I had 2 exercises I did. I sat down for about 90 minutes one day and I wrote down, in 10 years from now, what do I want to be true about my life? And I wrote my dreams. And I said, okay, from that 10-year dream, what would I need to affirm about myself? What would I need to be in a human being in order for those dreams to be true? And I started to write 10 affirmations. And I wrote these affirmations every single morning, wrote them or read them out loud to myself every single morning. His affirmations were anything from, I'm an intentional and exceptional mother. I'm an intentional, exceptional wife. I'm a spirit-led woman, and the fruits of the spirit are evident on my life. I started writing about the coaching that I did that created real change in women's lives. I started writing about how I had abs. I started writing like anything. So from body, wellness, money, I wrote these things would have to be true about me. And I started affirming them. And every single day I would say, now how do I show up as her? What ended up happening was I started to change. And because of that, when we change, our world around us will change. It takes just a little bit of time. So at first, Josh was just like, okay. She's like not arguing with me as much. Oh, cool. That's nice. She's washing my pan all of a sudden. But when I changed, all of a sudden he started changing because we couldn't remain the same. I stopped being this tense bitch, right? Who was always needing him to be something. And he was allowed to be himself and he started relaxing. And then I was able to start just from a genuine place saying, hey, do you ever dream of more? Would you ever want anything other than your like government job you're working? And at first he was like, nah, I'm good. I'm like content. And that was scary for me. I was like, okay, he literally doesn't want more. But what I didn't understand at the time that I now know is me changing was changing us anyway. And he was watching me grow and watching me elevate. And he saw I was wanting more for my life. And what ended up happening was he evolved up with me. Now I'm not going to say every relationship's going to do this because they don't.
No,
They don't.
that's
Sometimes,
scary.
and that is so scary. I remember actually getting to a place in our marriage where I was just like, what am I going to do if he doesn't want the same things as me? And I remember sitting down and having a conversation with him. I was so scared. And I just said, Josh, I wrote down all these dreams of mine, where I want to be in 10 years from now. And he was like, that's great. He was always pro, like, do what you want, babe. But I was like, here's the deal. I'm scared that if I keep going towards these, I'm moving further away from you because I don't know what you want. And I don't know where you're going. And that scares me. How do we end up at the same place if you don't know what you're doing? You can feel it in my body right now, like my energy. I was so scared. And he was like, can I think about it for a little bit? But my husband, he used to joke, he actually has a tattoo on his wrist that says simple. He's like, I'm just simple. I'm content. You're complex. You always want all this stuff. You so driven. I don't need all that. And what it really was he never slowed down long enough nobody asked him what he really wanted, ever.
Yep.
He was always my support man, not what does Josh want?
Yeah.
And so slowly that started to open him up. I'm like, but if you wanted anything, what would it be like? What do you want us to be like? What do you want our kids to be like? And I didn't ask from this neediness. I was genuine because I said, Josh, I want your happiness just as much as I want mine. And I want us
Mm.
to end up at the same place. And I think that was a shifting point for me because he always felt like our dreams were my dreams and he supported.
Yeah.
And when I came from a place of, I want what you want with you.
Yeah.
Let me just pause for that. I want what you want with you. Josh had never really heard that from me.
Mm.
I was bulldozing the space because I just never slowed down to ask what he wanted because I didn't think he was ever going to rise for me. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So fast forward, my evolution, it's going to cause the evolution of your relationship. If you evolve, your relationship will too. And we got to these points where we needed to say, are we growing together or are we separating? And we chose to grow together. My husband ended up coming to his first personal development retreat on a private island with me. I was like, please come. Please. I was like, please just give it a shot. And if you hate it, I'll never ask you again. I promise. And it's so funny because the woman who hosted it, our friend Brittany, Josh was sitting there, arms crossed, body language was shut off as it could be. And I'm sitting there smiling. And Brittany was like, this is the first guy we're going to lose. This is the first person who's never going to transform their lives at our retreat. He is so closed off. And
He's off the island.
He's off the island. Yeah. And I was smiling because I thought he's here.
Yeah.
And over that retreat, over those days, Josh again got to sit and be asked questions about himself. Josh is a servant leader kind of person. He'd never taken time to ask himself what he wanted. And that began the evolution of him opening up and starting to figure out what it is that he wanted. And it has led us to, thankfully, a personal growth journey together. But it has not been without challenge. It has not been without challenge. And I want to be transparent about that because we both decided to wake up and get conscious. And as dreamy as getting conscious and waking up sounds, anyone raise your hand if you are on a spiritual journey. This is freaking hard when you start to see yourself. Now imagine doing it with your partner and you're like, I see your stuff, you see my stuff. But we just decided to the best of our ability, be with each other on this journey of figuring ourselves out. And we are now, I would say, on the other side of one of the biggest growth journeys. And I'm living a dream. I'm living a dream come true with a partner who wants to live the most conscious, proactive, spiritual, connected, non-traditional life with me. But we're doing it as teammates. And that feels good. So I might have ranted, but here we are.
No. Oh my gosh. I mean, that is the heart of all of it, is that when you change, but I think it's also when you create intentional and loving change, because there's also something to be said when you talk to your partner about this, you end up parallel living or going off in two different paths, or especially for women, men potentially, I'm not saying all, but feel the hyper independence come up. And that's one thing I've realized about money is that I'm still working on this one, the feeling of being provided for by money. And I was like, some hyper independence coming up there. And just because I'm the matriarch of my family. As I call myself, I'm an independent mother. I get to make all these decisions. And then somebody had said to me, well, what does it feel like to be provided for by money? I'm like, well, what? And because I do just take care of everything with joy. And it was an interesting one. And to have that intentionality, that caring, and not having that sense of hyper independence. And I think that's also one of the questions that comes up for me as I'm just in such a great time in my life. People are like, are you dating? And I was like, why? I'm having the best time. Like, it's great. But I'm like, am I going to be perceived as hyper independent or too independent? And I'm just like, I'm also at that point, like, I don't care about your labels. I just want to be, and I want to have my partner in growth. But it's something I've also been very conscious about is that, am I putting out too much vibes of too independent, right? Because I do want that partnership where we grow together and where he feels loved, because Josh, hopefully, and I would say clearly, felt loved. And that was a difference because you chose to be an intentional, exceptional, and loving wife.
Yeah.
And there's a difference behind there, and there's a difference in that energy. And
I think that's the distinction that I hope we really land on, because I think you're so right. I chose not only to say I'm choosing myself, but I'm choosing us.
Yes.
In my energy, I said, I both want to be my self-actualized self, and I want to be connected. I want to choose you. I want to choose us. And I think so many times we are afraid of that vulnerability within relationship of saying, Almira, look at me in the eyes. I want to always make my own money.
Yeah.
Always. And I'm in a season right now where I'm really stepping into a supportive role in my house, being a mother, if I start baking bread and gardening, I don't know who I am.
I'm
probably going to do it. I'm going to do it. I probably will. But like, there is an ambitious version of me that would have never imagined kind of coming into my home, supporting my husband more and making his life easier so he can be ambitious. Y'all, this I'm talking about right now, this has never been my reality.
Yeah.
I have always been the ambitious moneymaker in the house. Josh has always had a job. He's always helped support, but it's just been me in the leading energy.
Yeah.
But my point is, I really desired to say, I want to contribute, but I don't want to be the leader in it anymore.
Yes.
I don't want to feel like I have to hold it all. I really felt like I am desiring to experience, whether for a season or a lifetime, I don't know, at this moment in time, I want to feel what it feels like to have a man support and hold that masculine energy for the home. Now, why I'm saying that is because, Almira, even right now in this moment, you are single. It's your job to make all the money for your house at this moment. That does not mean you can't hold the same energy of being supported and receiving.
Yes.
Right? You can, and it can come in so many other ways, but you can align to that energy and that choice right now. You can allow friends and men to open doors and people to do things for you so that you feel what it feels like to both do what you need to do today and align to the energy of being supported. Right?
Yes.
So I just wanted to bring that distinction because if we want to talk about manifestation, there's always an intention, but it is the energy behind that intention that matters the most.
Yeah.
And if I want money, but the energy behind it is scarcity, the signal of scarcity goes out.
Yeah.
But if I want money to come into my house and the energy is for provision and for my family and for the progression of our dreams, if that's the energy I'm sending on that intention, it comes in that way.
Yeah.
And so this matters even down to these small little dang reps I'm talking about. Again, I'm a Capricorn, I'm practical. When we even make these choices, it's the energy in which we're doing them today.
Yes.
That matter. And as we do them over time, it builds our lives. And, this is the work that we're doing in Conscious Leader Collective, this community that you're a part of, that I have led, because it's hard to know where our energy and our intention is. It's hard to distinguish between, is this a program in me? Is this my upbringing showing up? Or is this what my heart really wants? And so we've created a space where we get to keep going inwards and finding that nuance in our energy that is so important to see, because it's sending the signal out.
Yes.
And it's every signal sent out comes back with a receptor. You ask, you receive.
Yes. It's that subtle, or at least for me, it's subtle. It's that subtle texture, that softness. And that's the one that I check in with and align with. Or is it like, is this how I want to feel? What's in there? Or what is that intention? It's like, ooh, that feels lacking. What is that in me? Because I mean, I love this quotes, or I follow so many manifestation accounts, but it's that literally first of all, we're the creators. Everything out there in that 3D world is a reflection of us. So everything starts with me. Everything. I need to take personal responsibility for that. And I think we're all waking up to, we are the creator, getting to, that highest self, those energies. But literally, if your external world is not what you want it to be, you are creating it, but it can also change just as quickly. And when you start to take responsibility, personal empowerment, personal creation abilities, if you were, then it's amazing the changes that can happen. And especially from a peaceful perspective. a
Mhm.
soft perspective.
Mhm.
And I remember when I first did Conscious Leader 2, 3 years ago, and Anna Maria was my, I guess, pod leader. And
Yeah.
she was so peaceful. And I still talk about this. And when I interviewed her on the podcast, there's such peace that women get to or lead with, and you as well. And we know there's not always such peace behind it, but we work through it in a peaceful or perhaps rageful manner, but we know how to deal with it, and we have community, and it's amazing. And what I'm leading to is about peace, but also dynamics.
Mm.
Relationships came up in the collective this month.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's relationships with everything, but talk about dynamics and how that affects everything.
Say more.
We realized that the patterns that we carry is often based upon dynamics or expectations or our own behavior, or, and you know how they say that it's not about the money, it's about love, or it's about
Yeah.
yourself or whatever, right? Like it's never about the money, it's about something else.
Mhm.
And we kind of realized there was these messed up dynamics, or no, I don't want to judge that. I don't want to use the word of judgment, but there's chaos. There's
Yeah.
feelings of chaos and difficultness, and working through those dynamics and how it affects us, and having a choice to say, do I want to let it to continue to affect me? Or perhaps it is that I notice this. I know I can't shift everything right away, but how can I handle it within myself? I think that's
Mhm.
been a big conversation happening over the last week as well.
Well, relationships are here for a reason.
Mm.
They are here for a reason. And, there are different levels of relationship that we are in this classroom called life.
Mhm.
And, there are short-term relationships, the ones that we are kind of in passing with, people we see, there may be not in depth. Then there's seasonal relationships, the ones that come, you may have thought it was going to be a forever relationship, a forever partner, a forever best friend, a forever company, whatever it was, but it was here to change you and shift you for a season. So I want you to think about for a second how some of the endings and seasons and friendships have been both good and bad in changing you. So, for example, I've lost some big friendships that broke my heart and they ended abruptly, but they taught me more about codependency. They
Mhm.
taught me more about overgiving in
Mhm.
myself. They taught me more about love.
Mhm.
And so when I move into the next friendships, right, I am higher and wiser in the way that I'm going to be in relationship.
Mhm.
So that's important. And then there are those relationships that are here for like the lifetime. They're here for your whole life, and they can be loving and they can also be challenging, but
Mhm.
they are here to teach you something for your whole life. They are meant to be an undercurrent of something. So, for example, my mom is very ambitious. I actually come from a female line of ambitious women, and there's a lot that I'm healing around that. My
Mhm.
mom is a beautiful example of what an ambitious woman can do. I got some of that from her, and now in my life I'm getting to do things different, right? So relationships they are your teachers.
Yeah.
Like they're not a problem.
Mhm.
And again, we
Mm.
look and we want to fix the other person so we can be okay. Can you just get your shit together so I can be okay? Right? Can you just heal? I remember one time I had a mentor tell me about someone in my life. They said, "Why do you keep trying to fix this person?"
Mm.
And I was like, "What do you mean?" And she said, "Just for a second, let's imagine this person never elevates to your level of consciousness, never sees you. Can you learn to be okay with that?" And all of a sudden, I had to release my grip on trying to change them, hope they
Yep.
change, hope they see me. And I had to learn to start loving and seeing myself because I thought, this family member's never going to see me in the way I want to be seen.
Yeah. Yep.
So relationships come up because they are a part of our learning to love and grow within ourselves. That dynamic is really important, even around my partnership with my husband. I love him, but he can't complete me. He can't save me. I mean, for the longest time, I would just be like, if he could just get his stuff together.
Yeah.
And so that I don't have to worry about these finances, because these finances are just such a challenge for me. If anyone's followed me, I've really shared a lot about my growth around money, because I've made so many damn mistakes with it and had a lot of healing to do. I kept waiting for Josh to rescue me so I didn't have to deal with the pressure of figuring this out for myself. Well, that's not what life wants for me. Life wants me to grow. It wants me to become personally responsible. So it comes back to that sense of personal responsibility. And the minute that we stop trying to change our circumstances, people, or situations, and we take personal responsibility, we actually do settle into a sense of peace. We go, okay,
Yep.
okay,
Yep.
this is the classroom I'm in right now. This is the thing I'm supposed to do. There's nothing more important for me to be learning than this lesson right now. And what I've learned about lessons are they can either be lessons or life sentences.
Yes.
And if something is showing up in your life right now, it's better you learn it now than to repeat it 6 months from now and 6 months from now and 6 months from now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that dynamic around relationship, again, I think most people use it as an if-then statement. If I could change this person, if they would just behave this way, if I could just find this, then I'd be happy. And it's like, that's just a condition you need to be met.
Yeah.
And watch, can I give one more example?
Of course.
Wow, this is a big one. So we have a mutual friend, Svetlana, and she is one of my dear friends. And she is one of the people that if I actually want someone to speak truth to me, I call her. She
Yep.
knows that. She is allowed to call me on my shit. And I called her one day and was like, what is going on? So Josh woke up. Josh started to change his life. And our life felt like, to me, it went to shit. I felt like it was everywhere. I was like, oh my gosh, he's being chaotic. I can't trust him in these ways. Where are we going? What are we doing? All of a sudden he's traveling across the world. I felt chaotic.
Yeah.
And she said to me over the phone, she said, Kelly, you're the one who wished for this. So which is it, Kelly? Do you want him to sit back and do nothing and be in the back end of like your dreams? Or do you want to go through the growth that it takes for him to get to decide his life, and you do it the same? You're going through the journey of growing this. And I was like, oh my gosh. She was like, you've got to pick which one you want. Because my condition was, if Josh would just be conscious and aligned, then our lives would be better. Guess what? He got conscious and our life went to turbulence because we had two people trying to figure out ourselves. And so my point in saying this is, we often think some condition, some person just needs to change. Then they change, they do the thing, and we're still not happy.
Mm-hmm.
I still had a thing to work on within myself, which is, where am I not taking personal responsibility for the life that I want? So it was just, again, a mirror and a reflection into me.
Yes.
And I wanted to blame him. Believe me, I did, but it wasn't his fault. Right.
I love it. That's amazing. It's funny. It's like you've been trying to shake him awake for all of these years, and all of a sudden he's doing it, and you're like, oh my God, what's going on here? And you're not doing it as smoothly as I thought it could.
Right. You're not doing it the way I wanted you to do it.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that one. I love it. Oh my gosh. You hit the nail on the head when you talked about being okay with a relationship and a lifetime relationship or dynamic, and being okay with the challenge. And I think learning about I can love this person, accept who they are, stop trying to change it, and being okay with the non-binary, if you will. And I think that there's so much that has been conditioned to us, whatever it might be, that it has to be black and white. Yep. And there's been no acceptance of gray or rainbow, as I call it. You know, I've always seen myself as looking at the world in rainbows, and it's definitely frustrated some partners that I had who are male and black and white. Like, is it black? Is it white? And I'm like, well, purple and indigo and yellow. And they're like, oh my God. Or when people ask me, what's your favorite color? And I'm like, well, I have 3. What's your favorite food? I have 4. You know, I literally am that person who will never just give you a black and white answer. But then I started to realize how black and white I actually was about some things, or trying to find a black and white answer, and learning to live with, I love you. You're an amazing person, father, mother, whoever it might be. There's these areas that challenge me, and I'm going to love you anyways. I'm going to
Mm.
love on this because I can love on myself. You are you, you're never going to change. And ultimately, if you are, and I particularly use as an example of an older parent who are saying, well, I'm too old to change. And of course, you never know how much longer you have your parents on earth with. And being able to look at that relationship and say, what do I want these last years to look like?
Mm.
And I could continue feeling so frustrated, being loving to you, to your face, I'm loving. When I'm not with you or I walk away from you, I'm so frustrated. I hold all of this anger. And then ultimately being like, well, they're peaceful being that way. Like, what bullshit am I creating here that's
Well,
actually causing me this?
and who are we to say how they need to be?
Yes.
We're the ones asking for the exact same thing.
Yes.
Can't you just accept me as I am?
Yes.
I realized that same thing. I had a conversation with my sister one day when she kind of confronted me about how I've been changing. I've grown up Christian, and she was just like, I'm just kind of wondering, like, what's going on? You're becoming more spiritual. I don't understand. And at one moment, she said something that was really critical to me about my mothering. And I said, you've crossed a line. And I said, you can't tell me how to parent. And I said, but here's the deal. I'm not asking you to understand me. I'm asking you to accept me.
Mm.
And how many people in our lives, again, are we so conditional with, you need to change so that I can be happy, so that I can feel more peaceful, so that I can get the love that I'm craving to get from you. What if they never change?
Yes.
Again, this is how I was with Josh. It was like, what if he never changes?
Yeah.
I have to be honest about, what am I going to do? Can I accept him? What if he never reads a book?
Mm-hmm.
What if he never cares to listen to a podcast? What if he never wants to travel the world? How am I going to handle that? Can I accept him as that man? And I actually had to learn to decide, can we journey together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or can I love you and accept you just the way that you are, right? And those were, because we're in a partnership, we had to have those kind of conscious conversations together. But period, in relationships, we are so conditional, and there's that beautiful word and,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can be different than me. We can see differently, and I can choose to be in connection with you. And I can choose to love you.
Yes.
And all of a sudden that releases the pressure between the two,
Yes.
right? All of a sudden, I don't need you to evolve in order for me to get to evolve.
Yes. Yes.
And again, it brings that personal responsibility back. Almira, I really believe that we are at this really transformational time in our history where we have been outsourcing our power, our choices, our success models, our definition of what success is. We've been giving it away. And in this moment, we are needing to take it all back in.
Yes.
This is the era of personal responsibility,
Yes.
because we can't count on anyone else to give it to us.
Yes.
It's one of the reasons why I feel so crystal clear about helping women to get massively clear on how to take back their personal power, to get clear on what makes me happy, what makes me healthy, what does that definition look like? There are 5 types of wealth, but so many times we just look at financial.
Mm-hmm.
What about time? What about physical wealth?
Yes.
What about relational wealth, right? What about your mental wealth? And there are all these different dimensions that make us feel wealthy
Mm-hmm.
and make us feel well. And so getting conscious to all of those so we can redefine it and make choices that align to it, it's actually pretty simple.
Yes.
Doesn't mean it's not challenging to go through, but it's actually really simple to get clear and to make choices that align with it. And the more that we do that, we become empowered. We feel in control of our lives. We can let people be the people they want to be, and we can be the people we want to be. All of a sudden, there's not this emotional charge.
Yes.
Right?
And all the internal drama in our minds.
Right. Around it.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. One question before I let you go.
Yeah.
You talk so much about gripping. How do you let go of the grip?
I'd love to say it's gracefully. Honestly, for me, I believe in a higher power. And when I'm holding something with white knuckles, it's because I'm so afraid to trust what happens when I let go. But when I've learned to trust the divine, God, something beyond me that I do believe is supernaturally supporting me. I don't think we're here on accident. I don't think everything I have come to understand is that there is an absolute blueprint on our lives, that we are on purpose and for a purpose. So why would I ever question that we would be supported if we just let go? Right?
Oh,
So
goosebumps.
every time, and this just happened to me this last year, Almira, you watched me grow this really aligned business. And then the last year I felt sick, tired, overwhelmed, all the things again, all those symptoms showed up and I went, oh shoot, God, are you changing my mind again? And I had to surrender back
Yes.
this beautiful business that had all the blueprints, all the plans, all the things. And I said, okay, then I give it back. If this isn't it anymore, I give it to you and like take it away and help me see clearly what it is that my heart and my soul longs for.
Yes.
And so that surrender that I'm talking about, that's not a one-time gig. It was a daily posture.
Yeah.
Okay, I do it again. Send me whatever's in my highest best.
Yes.
I give back my marriage. I give back these kids. I give back this business. Because when we are attached to something, look at my hands. If you're ever watching this video, my hands are now not open for the receiving. So I open my hands and I go, okay, whatever you want. What is your will? And that surrendered position is a posture I try to choose every single day, because the times that I white knuckle something, I see how I suffer in fear and in anxiousness and in just suffering. And when we surrender and we do it over and over again, we actually get to see how much love and trust can happen when we give back our dreams to the higher power, to God.
Oh my
And how
gosh.
we're supported.
Chills and goosebumps. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Kelly, for bringing, as always, all of you to this, your vulnerability, your openness, your wisdom, your leadership. You are leading. We are following and leading in your footsteps as well. But just everything that you have done and the example that you set for all of us, and especially for the seasons of your life, whoever would have thought that woman on the Times Square billboard would be homeschooling? But this is your dream. And, this is so much what I talk about with clients is, what is your dream? Or what is that dream in your season? And you're showing it's possible, and you don't have to burn everything down all the time. It's an evolution, and how to handle the evolutions and the rides and the white knuckling, and just look at where you're at. It is a powerful testament to also being at peace and believing, which are your peace and belief, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
thank you so much. Kisses
pleasure.
always.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Powerful Podcast. I've so enjoyed sharing all of my insights, all my mistakes, all of my learnings as I grew and scaled my business from 6 to 7 figures. If you enjoyed this, please leave us a review. And then I'll send you back my top 3 ways to make $10,000. And I tell you, they're super easy, super creative, and super easy for you to implement. So please drop us the review, send it over, and we will send you back with my top 3 ways to make $10,000.